Okay, you're good.
Okay, we're live from Village Hall in New Paltz. Today we're catching up with Teresa Fall from Jarred Wine Pub and the Parish, and Matt Sweeney from the Parish. Why don't you guys start by just telling us a little bit about the two spots down at Water Street Market and your involvement and your history with both of them?
I'll start, Matt, if that's okay. I've owned Jarred for 7 years, and then Matt and I opened up the Parish together a little over 4 years ago. And Jarred is a small wine and craft beer, spirits, tapas bar, and Parish is a full-on restaurant with outdoor seating, Cajun Creole influence, and we're both central to the market, at Water Street Market in itself. And it's been a great run till recently.
We 4.5 years here, and we are blessed to have a large outdoor seating area, which is in these times is a big plus. And yeah, it's been a crazy year in general.
Yeah. So before we jump into where we've been in 2020, I think it'd be interesting if you explained a little bit about both of your backgrounds in food and beverage and where you started and how did you end up being involved in your businesses now?
I'll let you go, Matt.
Okay. Well, I started when I was 15 working at a place called Williams Lake Hotel in the kitchen. And I've meandered out to other career paths, but I seem to have always ended up back in a restaurant. And back in 2005, I became the manager of a restaurant down here called Beso. And then I helped open up a restaurant in 2012 called Rock and Rye, which I was the general manager there. So I kind of just went from being a cook, a dishwasher, a waiter, and then a manager, and then eventually ended up opening this place with Teresa.
And I, like Matt, started the restaurant business. I think I was 12 when I started working in and around New Paltz, everywhere from the Plaza Diner, JD's Dairy Barn, Dunkin' Donuts, Burger King, Mohonk. I spent a long time at Mohonk with Tim. I believe I started when you were there as a wine steward, and lots of different restaurant and bar work. And I lived in North Carolina for almost 10 years, a lot of restaurant and bar work there too. And then eventually it just made sense to open my own space. In New Paltz, 36 Main was where I was working, and I loved it there. And Kathy, the owner, had sold the business, and it made me realize that, I'm in less control of my own life when I'm working for somebody else. And it would make sense to just try a venture on my own. And my kids, they were pretty young at the time, maybe 4 and 6 or 5 and 7, somewhere around there. But I felt like it could happen. And the spot opened at Water Street Market, and it made sense to put something in there, something small. And then Matt and I came together. We've always been friends. We'd worked together at Beso, and we've known each other for years just from the business. And I always felt like Matt should have his own place because he does such a good job managing, etc. And the Bridge Creek came for sale, and I knew that it was something I didn't want to do on my own. And so we just kind of came together and purchased it and built it really from the ground up, because we gutted it and did a lot of the work. Matt did a lot of the work himself, and he's got a lot of brothers that helped out with that. And then here we are now in 2020.
Got it. So can you think of anything career-wise that prepared you for what you've had to endure this spring?
For
me, I'd say no. It really blindsided everybody, and we were scared, and we just had to try to reinvent ourselves and keep the ball rolling. Teresa.
I agree. Yeah, there's nothing really that could prepare you. You know, there are a lot of uncertainties in the restaurant business, like weather but pretty much that's it, or a recession hitting. But there could be nothing that could prepare us for having to shut our doors or just go to takeout only. Jard shut their doors, Parish stayed open. You know, it was a tough decision, but we kind of knew we had to do it. We had to bring some money in. We had rent to pay, and we had other people's livelihoods that were dependent on us, and we were able to keep our chef employed the whole time, which I think is we're pretty proud of ourselves for being able to manage that.
So moving forward, like, are you like in Parish? I believe since Tuesday, you're technically allowed to have folks inside the restaurant if you keep capacity below 50%. Is that correct?
Yes, we've chosen for the time being to just keep everything outside because it's a lot of just keeping people safe, keeping our staff safe, sanitizing the tables, the chairs, the menus, and to open inside right now, it just seems like we want to like give it a little while and just keep it outside, do what we're doing, and kind of work on our plan to open inside to where it's going to be safe and practical.
I think that it invites a little bit of trouble that we're not ready for.
Got it. Is there anything that you're looking to as far as an indicator that you think might get you comfortable so you would go ahead and allow people to start eating inside?
I mean, I feel like it's kind of people's comfort levels, and it's not just the customers, but the staff. And the staff needs to feel comfortable. And when it was kind of like a shocking moment when we reopened outside that we just tried to figure out a way to do it safely. And I think that it's just going to take a little time for the numbers, the news, and the community to really ease into it and get back to normal at a slow pace instead of jumping right in. I don't know if that made sense. What do you think, Teresa?
Yeah, I mean, you know, Matt and I confer with each other on these things, and I was happy when I asked him what his thoughts were that he wants to hold off a little bit, because it's just it is uncertain times. The numbers are going down in New York, but not elsewhere. And so, I mean, I can only say that, you know, we're just going to go week by week, just like this entire process. I will say that I don't feel comfortable anytime soon opening inside of Jard, which is very small. It's 187 square feet in there. So if I say half capacity with really safe social distancing, you're talking 4 or 5 people inside there. It just doesn't feel right. And then that could prevent people from coming in to order to sit on my patio or my deck. So I am going to keep my deck open. It is a fixed structure, but it's open so people can sit there. But I'm not comfortable with it. And I don't think that I would open that up inside this summer at all. And as far as Parish goes, I just think we need to take it week by week, because it's just everything changes all the time as with this.
Are you comparing notes with other restaurants in New Paltz? Like, have you heard what other restaurateurs are thinking in terms of having people back inside?
I've only spoken to maybe one other restaurant about it, because this all sort of happened. I mean, to me, it happened kind of quick. I honestly didn't know that New York was going to be opening inside that quickly. I am happy for the restaurants who don't. We're lucky we have outdoor seating. There are restaurants that don't have that, and I'm not envious of their position, because they have to choose between their staff's safety and their customers' safety and surviving in some cases. So it's like you need to keep your business open, and you have this choice that you have to make that's very difficult. I've only spoken to one other, and as of they right now are not planning on opening inside. But so I not me myself, maybe Matt has.
Can you? I'm sorry, go ahead, Matt.
Like Rose from Atavla, And I was surprised that I thought she was going to be really excited that she could finally open up, because they don't have any outdoor seating. And she told me that she didn't want to open up yet. She wasn't ready. So that kind of struck me.
I've mostly been hearing that, and like between the staffing, you know, you can't just.
I can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
I can.
Hi.
Oh, okay.
It just seems like we're all hearing the same thing, similar stories I'm hearing from people, that, you know, the needs in terms of cleaning and whatnot. Plus, you know, if you bring staff back and then, you know, we have to go back to, you know, phase 2, 1 or shutdown, you can't just flip your employees back and forth on and off unemployment like that, you know. The need to pivot if things go backwards seems to be stopping a lot of people. And it seems like your tentativeness is being broadly felt and shared.
The transition both transitions were very rough, as far as going from just takeout and then all of a sudden, oh, we can open up. And it's like you have to reinvent your business. You have to hire staff to deal with that change, which is a challenge for especially restaurants like that are just going to open up now, that only have indoor dining. They have to, you know, hire 10 people at once, train them, schedule them. It's not an easy task to do overnight.
I'm back on. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. Okay.
I know I don't have video for whatever reason, but I can hear you.
That's great. So walk us through what it has been like with your staff, and were they able to secure unemployment assistance, and were either of your businesses able to secure support through the federal government and the CARES programs?
Yes, our staff was all able to get unemployment. I know that it was tough, as with everybody else. Some of them took 6 weeks, 8 weeks, a couple of months to be able to get on to unemployment. It was almost like a part-time job, having to just keep calling or submitting your information. And yes, we did receive CARES Act help.
And have you been able to use that money, or you know, are you
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
I mean, yeah, we needed to. I mean, honestly, I mean, I don't know the exact percentage that our sales went down, but we were doing in a week what we used to do in a month. I mean, I'm sorry, we were doing in a week what we used to do in a day, you know, when this first hit, as far as numbers go. And, you know, we have big overhead we had all of our inventory that we had purchased before COVID hit. You know, you sit and you wait and you pay those bills, you know, monthly, and then all of a sudden no income is coming in, and we're just coming out of the dead season. And we would have been heading, you know, into our busy season. It is much better now that the patio is open outside, for sure. But as far as Parish goes, yeah, our numbers dropped drastically, and Jard closed altogether. You know, we needed that money. We were able to pay our chef and Matt and myself and bring people back on board, which was great, and pay some rent.
Right. So it seems like, you know, without a crystal ball, it's hard to figure out, you know, where we might end up in the fall or next year. So is your thinking that you're just going to continue to tread carefully? You know, like we were discussing earlier, like when you might bring customers back indoors, you're just trying to read the situation, and you'll make a decision based on, you know, what you see happening. Is there anything else that you're looking for in terms of, you know, next steps, or where you think we might end up this fall or even next spring?
Well, one thing that we're looking into is how we could provide like a safe system here inside, whether it's building plexiglass between tables, because we're a tight space here at the parish too, inside. Outside's a different story. We have plenty of room. But as far as like what to do inside, it's I kind of want to also see how other businesses are handling it and maybe try to take some cues from that.
Yeah, and for Jard, I think it's more uncertain for Jard than the Parish, because we can always have the takeout. You know, if things take a turn for the worse with Parish, we can resume takeout service. I don't really do that at Jard. It's not really set up that way. I will say that Project Resilience saved my butt. I am so grateful for that project. I would not have, I would be so in the hole if it weren't for me being a participant in that, for Jard in particular, to be able to make meals and get $10 a head for those meals. And also to do something good at the same time. I'll be forever grateful. And I was sorry it ended when it did, but I understand that it needed to. But with Jard, yeah, I'm trying not to think too far ahead, because there's there's different scenarios, and we're in control of none of them. And I'm so small in there. Like, I don't know that it would make sense to be open at all if I can only have half capacity in there. I pay my bills for the winter and the summer. For both businesses, Matt and I do that. We save up our rent and we pay them because it's the busy season. We're not going to be making that type of money to be able to put aside for the winter to begin with. And especially Jard, like if I have 4 or 5 people in there at a time, and my model is very low. It's high volume and not a high profit margin at Jard, which works out great in some scenarios, but in a scenario like this, it's not great. You know, so if I have 4 people in one day and they only each spend $20, I can't afford to stay open. But I'm trying not to jump the gun, because there isn't a crystal ball, so we don't know what's going to happen. I just have to mentally prepare myself for a handful of different scenarios. My hope would be the best case scenario is a vaccine, which is unlikely before winter happens.
Yeah. KT, do you have any questions right now?
Well, I just want to mention Convenient said the same about Project Resilience last week. So just wanted to repeat that and voice gratitude for that program. Not as a business owner myself, but as a deputy mayor who's happy that it happened and helped y'all stay afloat.
Yeah, I could cry thinking about how much that really helped me at the end of the day. To be able to get a check for $2,000 at a time, you know, that's 2 months rent. You know, it's for me in my tiny little space. It was so helpful, and it was a feel good. It was a feel good all around.
So you've been really creative. You've been doing those popsicles, which look amazing, but as you know, I can't have them, which is okay. But so what are some of the other maybe like creative things like that? Or if you want to talk about that, like how have your menus changed? And in the village, we're trying to see this as, you know, opportunities for experimentation of things that, you know, we maybe couldn't have done in the past. Just wondering if, I know that it's been such a difficult time to sort of see the bright side. But sometimes that's what gets you through the day.
There are many bright sides. I try to always find them in anything in life. I mean, I know that I was unhappy before COVID, like just especially in the summers, just working and always stressed out. And I've been trying to rethink things anyway. And it's given me pause to take some time and reflect and think about maybe changing things up a little bit at Jard when things are normal again, not when they're under these circumstances, maybe go in a different direction with the type of wine, something like that. The popsicles have been a really big hit, and a good friend of mine gave me that idea, and I'll be forever grateful, just because I think it's adding, people are coming to get them that wouldn't even necessarily, it's not taking away from them already getting a drink. It's just something cool and novel. And I'm not doing much food at Jard like I was. It's way less, and it's a lot less work for me. And food isn't as high a markup as alcohol, so that's been helpful. But you know, I play it day by day. Like I put some food items on, and if there's, it's hard to keep inventory in because it goes bad. And I'm not open 7 days at Jard right now because there isn't the foot traffic. So I've downplayed that, and that's made it a little bit easier. and I've simplified the menu. There's just not as much there, but I don't think that would stick in normal times. But I'm just trying to just take advantage of the time now to where it's a little bit easier and a little bit more streamlined and not as vast a menu and as much back stock and work to do.
Yeah, I feel like that right now it's very important to like reinvent yourself business wise, as far as like the parish. Like when we went to takeout, it was like, okay, what can we do that's gonna be successful? And we started doing like family dinners for pre-order, and it's like you're constantly trying to adapt as this whole thing goes through each phase.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah, Tim and I were just talking, some food, like as a restaurateur, you got to think about like what still tastes good coming in a to-go container 20,
Yeah.
30 minutes later. I can tell you the tofu po' boy still tastes amazing. I think it even gives it some juice time because it's,
You do have to think about, like Matt and I were dealing with that in the beginning. It's just we took the mussels off the menu right away for takeout because who wants to take mussels home like that? You know what I mean? We had to make sure that our French fries would hold up in a container. We definitely cut back our menu, what made sense and what doesn't. The family style meals were huge. And I don't know in normal times if that would be something we should even think about. We might, Matt, for like wintertime. Not so much in the summer. We don't need the takeout business in the summer, but it definitely, I said to him, like, for me, when I was getting takeout for my kids, trying to support local businesses, I didn't want to get 4 different items for 4 different members of my family. I was just kind of like, let's all get, the same thing or 1 or 2 things that we're eating. We felt like it was a meal, like I actually cooked it. But it definitely was a help because we were getting calls in for that weren't necessarily people that were going to order a burger anyway or something. They were specifically looking for that type of thing.
yeah,
Can you
I
think
mean,
of-
I do a ton of takeout in my house, and we have so many different like diet preferences in my house. The trend in the family style is really, really great because you're right. So lots of people aren't working, but lots of people were working around the clock. I never worked so much in my life. So the uptick in takeout and that response in family dinners, it wasn't just you. There's a bunch of different places in town that are doing it now.
Can you guys think of any other examples of things, whether it's front of the house or back of the house, that this experience forced you to take a harder look at, that you think actually you would use, hopefully after we return to, normal operations? Like you were forced to, figure out something and now you're like, oh, this is a better way of doing it. And we figured this out because we were under this type of duress.
One thing here is we're doing reservation only, and we do fit people in that walk up if we have room. But I feel like having a little bit more organization and control over customers coming in, when they're coming in, and how long they're going to be there. I feel like that definitely is something that has changed here, and that we're still trying to figure it out. But it's the more control you have with the flow of business coming in, the more you can take the time to sanitize and make sure everything's clean. And it's still hard because we're getting trampled a little bit, so to speak. But I feel like that's definitely something that's changed here.
And it also gives you mental prep if like, okay, you can get hit in a restaurant. You'd be like, it's 5 o'clock. Oh, we usually don't get busy till 6. And you can get slammed. But if in the reservation book, you're already booked out for the night and what time those people are coming into, it helps, especially in the kitchen, for their mindset.
Yeah.
And I would say another thing also, Matt, I don't know how it's, we haven't talked about this. We haven't since it really started, but we started having the waitresses and the wait staff pool tips. And we weren't doing that before. And I think it's working out great. But I mean, Matt and I may have a different conversation about that later, but that could be something that we do later on. Because I think it's more of a unified team effort when you're pooling tips rather than just working for yourself. So it makes everyone feel more like we have each other's back. But I could be wrong.
And one other thing is that it has made me appreciate the staff here a lot more.
I have another broader question about like how it's impacted you in terms of like your relationship with the community. I think what's unique and special about your locations and Water Street Market, or like the music nights and the movie nights and like the Chili Fest, and lots of those things have been put on hold. Like, comment, what does it feel like? That's such an important part of your worlds, and now you're not doing that stuff. Like, how has that felt?
Well, I feel unbelievably grateful to a number of people in this community. Just the events aside, the amount of support that Matt and I got for Jard and especially the parish, the people who were coming in and making a point. We had the same people coming in every week. Sometimes it would be the same night of the week. And they just wanted us to know that they had our back. And it wasn't even just about them getting a meal. It was about like, hey, we have your back.
For the takeout.
Every week for takeout, like the tipping astronomically when this first hit, these things went a long way to us. And just, we sometimes would, if we got a decent tip, give it to the kitchen or whatever. They went out of their way to show like, hey, I'm going to get from you every Tuesday or every Thursday, because they don't have to, but because we want to help keep you afloat. Let me buy a gift certificate from you and I'll use it later. And we just got a tremendous amount of support from people, and it really kept us going. The same for Jard with just gift certificates when I was closed. It was like definitely it's a wonderful life moment. It just felt like, oh my gosh, look at all these people that care to help keep me afloat.
Nice.
We call them the COVID tips.
Yeah, COVID tipping is a real thing.
And they over tip more than they would normally when they sit down in the restaurant. And a lot of people stick out in my mind that were very generous and very supportive.
Nice. All right, well, we're gonna wrap it up, but do you have any final thoughts, or KT, do you have a good question to conclude this conversation?
No pressure there. T-Fall, what's your best selling to-go alcoholic beverage?
Anything with fresh squeezed lemonade. I mean, it's been like, I joke around that I'm like a glorified lemonade stand, but it's like, vodka lemonade, gin lemonade, tequila lemonade, bourbon lemonade. It's refreshing. It was sangria. Sangria kept me afloat for a while, but now people have moved on to lemonade, and now these popsicles are making a strong push to the front.
What do you think, Matt? Any final concluding thoughts?
Well, in that category, I got strawberries from Low Farm, and we did strawberry jalapeno infused tequila margaritas, and that's been our top seller right now. But I think it's just, as like a final thought, it's like, where are we going to be in 3 months from now? It's hopefully it's where we want to be and not back where we were 3 months ago.
Yeah, no, we don't want to be there. One day at a time. One strawberry jalapeno margarita at a time.
All right. Well, thanks, guys.
If we do what we need to do now, then we won't get back to where we were before, right? So, friendly reminder that our behavior is going to impact the answer to that forecast.
100%. We can just look at other states by seeing that. I'm very grateful to Cuomo, Tim Rogers, and KT Tobin.
All right, gang. Nice
All right,
catching up.
Thank you.
We're grateful for you, Teresa Fall. You weren't doing events planning, but you were coordinating our project Resilience.
Yeah. Yeah, that was fun. Thanks for hooking me up with that, KT, because I wouldn't have been turned on to how it worked without doing that volunteer work.
Good stuff.
Well, I know who my people are.
Yeah, thanks for
I know who
making
to
me
go to when I
volunteer.
need help.
Oh, all right, love all you guys.
Love you
Okay.
too.
Bye
All
bye.
right, bye.
Bye.